All right, hey, this is Act 2 of the podcast. We're getting right back into it. If you missed Act 1, go back and listen to that thing. Otherwise, this isn't going to make any sense. Okay, see ya. Then out of the blue, Carl's not friends with him. And I'm still not sure what happened. All I know is that Carl is now not friends with him, and I am friends with Carl, so I'm like, well, okay, maybe my first instinct about him being a douche was correct, and I guess it was. And so now everybody rips on this guy. And there's been so much, because Carl has many people that are searching out, like my moles, he has many of those too. And there's so much crazy shit about this guy that is just bizarre. That if I were to even start talking about it, it would be like opening up a Pandora's box, and I would have to like unpack it all. So anyway, back to this steel toe guy. When he started podcasting, his format was this. He would talk and say things not that different than what I do. But the one difference is he made a living, or at least has been, he might still be doing it the same way, is he passes a virtual collection plate around. And he says, hey, today's show, I need to make $350. Okay, so please donate. And then, so everybody's giving like a few dollars, and that's his format of the show. So every single show, he's like, if you give me more money, I will talk longer. And now ask yourself, do you think that would get old if every few minutes I'm reminding you to give me your money? In fact, at a point in time, he was doing 2 shows a day. He would do one in the morning and one in the evening. And in both of them, he's actually holding out a collection plate saying, come on, pay me, pay me, pay me. And so that's it. You know, I decided it would be much easier just to actually, marketing. Hey, go to this place, get your car fixed at Irvine's. Let's go to Pinball Land and play some pinball. Shit like that. I think that makes more sense. And he could have done that. I mean, when you have a local footprint, there's no reason why you can't. So that's kind of what he has done. And so for whatever reason, Carl and him had a falling out. So Carl has made a living now ripping this guy a new asshole. And it's fucking hilarious. Jeremy says, he's my favorite person in the Dabble verse. Dude is absolutely insane. Showbro Michael says, Steel Toe is a douche. I'll never forget when we were talking in Twitch and he got mad that we weren't talking about him and his stories. Well, that sounds like me. I've done that. Where's Ben's Carl drop? Steel Toe or Showbro Michael says, like, dude, Twitch is meant so we can communicate with one another. Who cares if we're not talking to you? I always liked Aaron. You're probably making fun of me there. I think that's a roundabout way of calling me a douche. Luke says, easy, did you ever come across Tom Bernard? I have not met him, but he is an old school radio guy who had a wonderful career. I don't know what he does now. He might even still be talking in a podcast. Maybe he's on the radio. I don't know. I thought he retired. Legend in the Twin Cities. Legend. Jeremy says Carl's show is called This Little Piggy. It's on his Patreon. Megan says, I probably wouldn't listen to you if he asked for money like that. Stevie said, that's like Joe Martinez and all the Go Blue shit all the time. Yeah, that got a little old. Is Joe Martinez still here? Does he still... No, he's not here right now. Yeah, he's been MIA. I don't know. Did his HVAC business go belly up? Does anybody know? I don't know. I think he gave up EZ, and then that was it. Nobody called. The phone stopped ringing. That's what happens to you if you give up. The funniest thing happens. This is what happens when you give up on EZ. You know what happens? Nothing. Cole says, did he get deported? He may have. Tofus says, I thought he had a big project. He was putting new clients on hold for his project. Well, maybe that's the case. Magical Misfit says, I think Tom Bernard is retired now. I could be mistaken. Bear 495 is here. Haven't seen that name in quite some time. Glad you're here. EZ question. For the Pinball Land trip, do we bring our own food or will food and drink be provided? I'm glad you asked that. Here's the format. 8 p.m., Rockford, Michigan, Corner Bar. We're going to hang out. You can eat whatever you want. You can drink whatever you want. In Rockford, that downtown association, they've got a special ordinance that you can walk around with your drinks. But it has to be in a special cup. You get that cup at the Corner Bar. And you fill it full of the hardest liquor ever. Or beer, whatever the fuck you want. And then you can walk around with it. Because then we're going to walk down the street 1 block to Pinball Land. And you can drink whatever you want while you're playing pinball. When you empty the cup, you can walk to any one of the contributing establishments. There's one right across the street. You can go back to the Corner Bar if you want. Fill up your cup. Come on back. Play more pinball and video games to your heart's content. That's how we do it. If you need any further information, reach out to me, Eric at ericzaneshow.com, for any further information about the first ever Pinball Orgy. Clown of Carnage with a great question. What does it cost? So if you want to play pinball for 1 hour there, or any of the video games, you can play as much as you want. $9. If you want to do it for 2 hours, it's $15. That's always what it is there. If you happen to make a day out of downtown Rockford, all day is $20. Seabear says, I heard they have Nintendo games there. Is this true? Yes, they've got an upright actual arcade game. And I forget the name they call those. An emulator, perhaps. And it has every Nintendo game ever created in the history of Nintendo on it. Like, despite, their small space, you would not believe, you could get lost in the video games there. Really outstanding. Seabear says, Multicade? Holy shit, nice. Nintendo, SNK, pinball, during, etc. I don't know what some of that means. Tofus says, hell yeah, pirate that shit. I don't know what that means either. Ripo. I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, he says that's a typo. Ripo typo? Good God. All right. We're going to find out in 2 weeks whether or not we are going to blow Iran to kingdom come. The United States has the only weapon that exists on the planet. Have you seen this thing? We have created a weapon that will drill down 20 stories and blow up. Think about a 20-story building. Even if it's solid concrete, that weapon will go straight down that deep and then blow up. That's a super bunker buster bomb. Any other nation, it can go down like 2-3 stories. No big deal. The Iranian nuclear program is deep underground. That is where they are enriching and coming up with all of the things that they need to make their bombs to blow up whoever. Some people think that Iran is going to get a nuclear weapon and then blow up Israel. So Israel says, all right, they gave them 60 days to come clean. And on the 61st day, that's when Israel started to fuck up Iran. So now what? Why is the U.S. getting involved? I have no idea. Are we looking out for Israel? Probably. Do we believe that Iran would actually blow up a nuclear weapon on another country? I think we do believe that. I said earlier that there will never be a nuclear war. And I don't believe that because I think we're going to fuck up Iran so that they don't ever get the capability to have a nuclear weapon. Some of these holy war assholes would be happy to die in a ball of fire just for their ridiculous religious ideology. I don't think we're going to let that happen. Iran's been begging for an ass kicking forever. All right? While I think it was ridiculous to go into Iraq the way we did, Iran is another story. We should have fucked them up forever ago. So I'm actually hopeful that Trump drops that bunker buster on them. And he says, yeah, it's going to take me a couple of weeks to come to a decision whether or not I'm going to blow up Iran. Now, what people fear is that another world war will break out. So if that happens, would China or Russia get involved? That's the $8 million question. This also flies right in the face of what Trump said he was going to do when he ran for public office. Trump said, I'm not going to get us involved in a war. I'm going to get us out of wars. So if this is the case, that kind of flies in the face of that. But I think that the morons who love Trump would be happy if he decided to go after Iran. The one thing that MAGA people hate more than Trump going against his own word would be Arabs. They will love that. Megan says, doesn't Trump hate all wars, waste all the money, and blah, blah? Yes, that's true. Cole says, do it on the 4th of July for an amazing fireworks show. Seabear says, China is already sending supplies to Iran. Wouldn't surprise me. But would Iran go the route of a proxy war? Who knows? Yeah, I actually hope that they do this. I don't want Iran with nuclear capability. If I were president, I would have bombed them already. We still owe those motherfuckers for when they captured our the embassy workers back in the late 70s. Fuck Iran. Piano Finger Banger in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee says, sometimes I wonder if there's anyone in the Middle East who podcasts like EZ. Like the EZ's Afghan Muslim doppelganger sitting in a sand hut. Tofa says, sure, they would use a nuclear weapon. They want to attack other Americans. They love war. Seabear says, are we forgetting North Korea? Are they not allies with Iran? Yeah, so there's all that, too. There's a lot of moving parts on this, without a doubt. Without a doubt. But, yeah, fuck the Iranians. And then you've got, here in the U.S., the goddamn hippies are marching, saying, support Iran. We love Iran. Oh, my God. I just saw another clip of the Iranian parliament, those crazy fuckers, burning American flags and yelling death to America. We should nuke them for that reason alone. Seabear says, that's what scares me the most, North Korea and China, not so much Iran. Yeah, I don't know if North Korea is as big of a threat to the United States mainland as you think. That we have an unbelievable defense network that can protect us reasonably well from actual nations that have real nuclear weapon programs like China and the Soviet, or not Soviet Union, but Russia. I don't think a couple that get launched that may reach part of the U.S. are really anything to worry about. You know what I learned from Neil deGrasse Tyson? I learned from Neil deGrasse Tyson that a nuclear weapon nowadays doesn't have the death capability long-term like they used to. Like back when we destroyed Nagasaki and Hiroshima, not only did you have at the detonation spot everything vaporized, and then outside of the detonation spot, the shock wave blowing up structures and blowing away people from the intense shock wave and the heat, but you also have the long period of time after that where the radiation causes long-term illness and death from cancer. I saw a clip where Neil deGrasse Tyson said nuclear weapons like that are not, they're not like that. Especially like hydrogen bombs, hydrogen bomb warheads. You don't get radioactive fallout. You get giant explosion, giant shock wave, incredible heat, everything blown up for miles and miles and miles. But you're not dealing with nuclear radiation. You're dealing with hydrogen. So I don't know if I heard that out of context and if that means that every weapon that exists today only is hydrogen based and you don't have to worry about radiation. Either way, it doesn't fucking matter. I'm fucked where I am. I'm in the goddamn, would be the military manufacturing center of the country. And there's the world's biggest, United States' biggest National Guard base at Fear Bunker North. I mean, if I'm a country, I don't want hydrogen. I want goddamn, what do you call it? Radiation to kill the most people. This is a thing that just got sent to me from Chris K. Kiss K. It is a meme. Looks like a man in a robe, almost like a biblical character looking out onto the world. Says, quote, I will bless any nation that gives you a totally awesome 30,000-pound bunker buster to drop on Iran. Genesis chapter 12, verse 3. Seabear says, I hope our American cyber hackers come together and do some cool hacking shit to Iran and Chinese nuke programs. That would be nice since everything is tech-based. Easy. Piano Fingerbanger says, I went to Hiroshima last summer. and saw the memorial from the bombing. There is one building left partially standing that they've preserved. The destruction was unbelievable. I've seen that before. I know what you're talking about. One building left standing. The Hiroshima Peace Memorial Genbaku Dome. There it is. That's the one. The bomb dome. Boy, whoever was the architecture, the designer, the architect behind that one, that guy's feeling good about himself if he wasn't vaporized. I'm oftentimes, this is it before it. These are the before photos, and these are the after photos. August 1945. Okay, enough of that. By the way, 140,000 killed, 70,000 from radiation in that one. I often marvel as how Hiroshima and Nagasaki at that blast site, I mean, how leveled they were. It was like all your shit on a desk and you take your arm and just clear it all off. That's it, you know? And the fact that they have built it back, I mean, that is quite a feat. Think about it. Luke is telling me that the U.S. has moved the Doomsday plane to Washington. I believe that is... I'm not even sure what the Doomsday plane is. Is that a one that they drop a bomb with? Like one of those big strato fortresses? Or is that a plane that they take the president and the cabinet up to in case there is an end of world scenario? I've not heard of this thing. It might have been mentioned once. Luke says it is a modified 747 that is a command center for war. Chris says that guy who built the dome was actually standing outside of that dome admiring his work when the bomb hit. Okay, now that's an incredible thing to even think about. Him looking up at saying, God damn it, I am good. I am fucking good. And then whammo. All right, well, I certainly hope that there isn't a thermonuclear war. That's an understatement. Yankees suck. That would be Kevin in Northern Ontario is here. We're getting we're getting a lot of comeback folks on the chat this week. Thank you so much. Writes, North Korea and China are scary, but Iran scares me more because I don't think they're a loose cannon. I don't think they're a loose cannon? Or are you saying I think they're a loose cannon and will go for the most destruction possible? North Korea and China aren't as much about cleansing infidels. Yeah, he did mean to write. I do think they're. Yeah, it's they would die martyrs. Think about like the guys, the Muslims who flew the planes into the Twin Towers. The cockpit voice recorder in there actually has footage of them so overjoyed with what was happening that they were jacking off. True story. You can find that audio online. Just search 9/11 pilots jacking off. Even in Shanksville. When that thing hit the ground, they were jacking off. And they actually found the remains of the pilot, and his hand was on his joint. And they found all sorts of jizz remnants because it was a monster load that he shot out of his ding-dong just before the impact. So that is what we know about Muslims. If they're watching an infidel die, their hand is feverishly working. It's working the crank. Showbro Michael says, what? Get the fuck out of here. No, it's true. There are images from inside of the cockpit of those guys with their hands on their pud, feverish. Both guys in the cockpit of all planes. Look it up. Look up 9/11 hijackers masturbating right before impact. In the Campbell Ewald floor that was looking out at the plane coming in. You had to have seen this picture. There was a guy who survived, and the plane went in, but he had a camera, and he was taking a picture as it was coming at him, the plane. And he zoomed in, and the guy was standing there, and he was like this. He was totally working his stick. Look it up. You'll find it. Jeremy says they're called hijackers because they were jacking while high in the air. Exactly. The term hijacker had never been used prior to 9/11. That was a joke race. Megan says, did they finish? Yes, there was ejaculate all over cockpit parts. Yes. It was quite an arousing moment for them. So that is why we cannot allow Iranians to have thermonuclear weapons. So we are going to blow them the fuck up. It's coming. And I am all for it. I hate Iran. All Iranians can fuck off. All right? In fact, don't you dare go into a goddamn party store in Detroit because they're going to fuck you up. They won't fuck me up because I look like one of them. But, yeah, watch your back. Those motherfuckers are going to fuck you up. Seabear says, can we take a moment to see the irony here? LOL. Now, my dad used to get his ass kicked all the time by Iranians. Like the only thing to do in Zargande, Tehran, when my dad was there. Hey, he's there with my uncle Garo. Garo, yeah, Ruben, what are we doing today? We're getting our ass kicked by the Muslims. Okay, that sounds like fun. Yeah, they're going to throw you down a well, and I'm going to get a hot poker up my ass. What about our little sister Garcia? Well, she's just going to stay home. We're just going to take the beating for her. My aunt was a lot younger than my dad and my uncle. So every day, it's just fucking Muslims at the door. My grandma Mary opens the door. Hello? Yeah, hey, Ruben and Garo home. Yeah, why? What are you doing? Well, we're going to beat the fuck out of them. Why? Because they're Christians. Oh. Okay, well, just keep it outside, all right? I mean, if you have to, you have to. I get that. Just leave me alone. My grandma was running a daycare at the time. So she's got Iranian kids in there. She's watching a bunch of these little Iranian fucks. And all the other adolescent Iranians are beating the shit out of my dad and my uncle. So my dad hates Iranians. Clown of Carnage says, that voice reminded me of the Adam Sandler goat bit. Well, I'll have to take your word for it. Kevin says, turn the Middle East into glass. We'll all be better off. Yeah, at some point that has to happen, right? Yeah, my dad couldn't get out of there fast enough. He was so lucky to get the fuck out of there when he did. So then, of all things happening, he comes to Detroit, and then the next thing you know, all the goddamn Iranians are there. He's like, ah, shit, here they come. Seabear495 says, I miss your Amanda voice, EZ, LOL. Amanda is, I am anxious to see if she is going to jump back on the horse on Monday, on the wagon for Fatathon. As you know, things got a little off the rails for her. I mean, she was kind of like staying at about the same weight, minus about 20, 25, and hadn't really been losing. She'd gain a little, she'd lose a little, she'd gain a little, she'd lose a little. And then out of the blue, she announced, hey, I'm just going to quit. Hey. And I was like, why? I'm going to a music festival. There's going to be a lot of food. I'm just going to quit. I'm just going to give up. And I was like, look, you got to I tell you what, have as much fun at whatever this is, but don't just cash in all your chips. You can start again. Have fun at your music festival. And then reload, recalibrate, re-engage, and get after it. Fat as fuck? Good. And I told her, as of Monday this week, don't even send me a weight. And then the following Monday, which is what we're coming up to, then you send me a weight. Okay. That sounds like a good idea. Thanks for the advice. Okay. All right. So you good? I'm good. So I think she's scheduled to be sending me a weight update on Monday. I am. If she doesn't, I'm not going to beat her up. I can only. It gets to a point where it's like it either you do or you don't. That's all there is to it. I can't. It seems like too much if I have to continuously. I only like doing it if there's a response involved. I don't want to just keep going back doing the same thing. So if Seabear says just got to wish him well, exactly at that point, because we've been going round and round on this. Amanda will jump back on the horse after she jumps off all the dick. Well, if she's lucky. If it comes to pass that she is not able to reload, re-engage, recalibrate, then she will have defeated me. And I cannot continue to do that. I won't waste the time. I won't waste her time. I won't waste my time. Now, Jeremy responded very, very well. We lose people. We lost Nikki. Whatever. That's either you do it or you don't. We have Rebecca still hanging in here. Seabear says, oh, my God. I thought that was Randy Macho Man Savage. No. Bob says, or I should say, Piano Fingerbanger says the Jocko impression kills me. Yeah, that's what Jocko does. Jocko's not funny. He's just intense. Can you imagine being a son of Jocko? Dad, I just shit my pants. Reload, re-engage, recalibrate. Miss Twaddalot, Rebecca says, you've got me in my roller coaster weigh-ins. Man Bun Chris says, did you get Jocko drink? Yeah. We talked about it just before I played his Jocko Good. You were probably just getting in here at the time. Yeah, it's Jocko. Here's some water. get rehydrated and recalibrated and re-engage. All right. I'm going to use the potty and come back and finish this show. Chris says, let's hear Jocko say, snap into a seatbelt. All right. Be right back. Got to make sure it's on repeat. Okay, I'm back. We're back. Holy cow. Interesting side note while I was away, I should say. Kevin in Northern Ontario. What part of Ontario? I mean, I know it's Northern Ontario, but what actual community? Is it anywhere near where, like, the Tragically Hip are from? He says Moose Factory. That's like the actual name of the community, Moose Factory? That's real? Or is that like just a slang term? Wow. It's a fly-in community. Way up there. Can you tell me what in the world brought you that far north? Was it work or are you from there? Do you like slaughter baby seals to eat? It's interesting because last night while I was laying in bed, I actually went on, that Google Earth app that you can see like planet Earth and you can move the Earth and you can zoom in on any part on the globe. It's really spectacular. It just so happens that last night I started wondering to myself, this is where my mind goes. Like, if I wanted to travel north, how far could I travel before, like, the roads end? And one of the things I started in Nunavut, I think I'm saying that right, Nunavut, which is north of, like, Manitoba, north of Ontario. That's up by, like, the Northwest Territories. And you're getting close to Greenland at that point. And you can't get up there. By the way, the land is like every 10 miles, there's a 10-mile lake. And then more 10 miles of land and 10 more miles for lake and mountains and tundra. That's tundra land. And it just so happens. So it's interesting that you're actually in a fly-in community because that's how they have to reach people in those communities. These are like small little hamlets or almost like monitoring stations that have like 500 people living there. And they're all natives. And a plane flies in once a year with supplies. And they don't need anything more than the yearly fly-in. And what they get is like gas and ammunition, arrowheads, and clubs so that they can go and kill wildlife. I'm not kidding you. And and make clothes. This is truly another world up there. Think about that. There is no place in the United States that you have to fly in supplies. Way north, it's another fucking planet. Yankees, Kevin writes, it's a res community. I'm not sure what a res community is. My wife says, it's a reservation. My wife's a squaw. Aren't we not supposed to say that term? I don't think we're supposed to say squaw. My wife's a squaw. Her dad gave us a house and land up here, so couldn't say no to that. Well, that begs another question. How did you meet this wife? Did she leave that fly-in community of Moose Factory and come down nation to a different part of Canada, and then you met her at a club in Kingston? Break that shit down, though. I need to know how you met the wife. And when you say squaw, I picture like that chick who spoke at the Oscars in the 70s. Long braids, you know, the two long pigtails and shit with, you know, like the leather with the beads hanging down and the goddamn moccasins up to her knee. That is so cool. He says the roads end at Cochrane in Ontario. It's already hella north. Then you take a train for 6 hours. Then you take a ferry across the river in James Bay to get where I live. Holy fuck. He said, yep, I live in one of those, but it's not far enough to be a perma-winter. The places that I was looking at up north in Nunavut, the 3 months of the year, they have temperatures that are about 40, 50, maybe once in a while. Like June, July, August, high 35 average, high 48 average, high 42 average, and then back down to like 10. That's a part of the world where there's 3 months out of the year, it's all daylight, and 3 months out of the year, it's all darkness. Piano Finger Banger says, I just looked at the map of Moose Factory. God damn, you might as well be living in an Arctic research station. I did read that some of those places I was looking at are able to get infrastructure set up where they can have wireless. Kevin says we aren't that primitive here, though. But that's the lifestyle that a lot of people live here. Different people and community than anywhere else I've been. We get stuff on the train once a week. Yeah, you might be the most, an audience member with the most curious background. Because everybody's got a background around here. And not everybody knows everything about everyone. But that's incredibly intense and interesting. Nick says that qualifies as the extra hard living line. Oh, yeah. When you got to wait on the side of the train tracks, waiting for the weekly train to get there so that you can get some rubbers or a watermelon, fuck yes, it is. Do you have to hunt your own food? Kevin adds, natives all say squaw and call themselves Indians. Nobody cares about race shit here. Bigger things to worry about. Kevin's squaw, as he says, lived in the city I was at for a while. We lived together for 5 years before we came up here. So they don't fuck with you because you're a white guy? You know, are you like the only white guy in the whole reservation? Is there a casino? There can't be a goddamn, that's a horrible question. Now in the U.S., people that live on reservations like the United States has to almost like offer reparations. Like if you live on a reservation, like these fuckers have their own government and they can make a casino and then everybody gets fucking rich. We have the same hot summers and cold winters as the rest of Ontario, Kevin says. And he says, no, we have a chain grocery store up here. Up here, there's stores called Northern. They're in all the reservation communities, owned by Giant Tiger. I don't know what the fuck that is. And he says, I'm one of about 20 whites out of population 4,000. No casino, no tourism. We just live. And they are rich from the mines, I guess. Stevie says, are the roads all dirt roads? Are there roads there? Is there, if you can only get there by train and ferry, I would guess there's nothing automotive, right? So everybody just kind of walks around and there's like razor scooters and shit like that. I'm fucking fascinated with this shit. I think what we need to do, he says, we drive around on four-wheelers or pickups. Moose Factory, Canada. Let's take a look at where audience member Kevin right now, as we speak, is listening to us in. All vehicles come up on a train. All right, I need some images of this place. Okay, this is Moose Factory. I don't know. It might have to connect to the actual Moose Factory internet. Here's a church. Here's here's a gravestone. Here's a house. Here's a building that's a giant A-frame. I'm getting an aerial view of Moose Factory. God damn. Did you have any anxiety when you went there? This is an image of Kevin. Kevin is the guy in the hat, and this is Kevin's wife. This guy, or this woman with the mustache. That is Kevin's squaw. That is what we see right there. I cannot believe we got the image of Kevin's squaw right here. Here she is. Kevin says, no hard living for everyone, but it's definitely more of an outdoor lifestyle than elsewhere. Man Bun Chris is a great question. If you have questions on an Ask Me Anything with Kevin from Moose Factory, Ontario, Canada, please leave them in the chat. Man Bun Chris says, how did you find the show up there? Piano Finger Banger says, we got to get him on the line. I've got so many questions. Megan with a question. What is the most waited for item to come off of the train? Man Bun Chris, and you can answer these one at a time. Some of them are just funny. How old do the Meese have to be to work in this factory? Megan asks, do you use Starlink? Stevie asks, what do you do up there? Kevin says, I'm not from here. I've been listening to podcasts and radio for decades. Do you have Amazon deliveries? 2-day shipping? Can you get DoorDash? He's been here 2 years, Chris. Kevin says, yep, Starlink, yep, Amazon. I need to go back to the actual map and get away from the. This is Kevin's house right here. Okay, let me go to the map here and see what this is all about. Where in the globe is Moose Factory? Okay, I got to zoom out for some context here. So there's that island. That red dot, that is exactly where Kevin is standing right now with his squaw. Now, if you're just tuning in, you're like, EZ, how can you say that racist word? Those are not my words. This big body of water is Hudson Bay. God damn. You feel pretty insignificant when you look at the distance. Like I'm here in West Michigan. In order to get there, you got to go as far as whatever town he said it was, Cochrane. And then you got to train in and then ferry in. Holy shit. Right at Thunder Bay, or Hudson Bay. Thunder Bay. I'm impressed. I'm impressed that you're listening. I'm impressed that you're here. I love every bit of this. We stumbled upon this gold mine that is Kevin in Northern Ontario. So does that mean since your father-in-law, your squaw inherited this, and you guys couldn't pass up the offer to move to that place and completely turn your lives into this world? Is this like for the rest of your life? I mean, and you must be happy, right? I mean, this has got to be something outstanding. Now, I would love this. I would really, really love this being apart from the world and worrying about an entirely different set of factors because it's just a different way to live. And that, to me, seems very appealing. Like even just going to Fear Bunker North in Grayling, where it's not exactly state of the art. And I say to Pooh Bear, I go, why would you not want to live here? We can go into town, get what we want. It's outdoorsy. And she goes, no. And she it seems horrible to her. And I'm like, God damn, that sounds awesome. You don't have to do anything. Tyler with prime stick picking up territory for sure. It seems to me, though, that this area where you're in, is it foresty? It doesn't look it from that map image. You know, it looks to be almost just like flat and I don't want to say desolate because there's a civilization there, obviously, but thanks for sharing. So glad you're here. He says, we make do. It's as state of the art as anything was in the early 90s, and it actually is all forest. It's paradise to me. I don't plan to leave. I wouldn't either. EZ, can you zoom into the name of this city? This is Moose Factory. Now, I know that there's a lot of interesting names for Canadian cities. Medicine Hat, Moose Almond, Moose Jaw. Isn't there a Moose Jaw? Moose Jaw, Moose Factory, Moose Almond, Medicine Hat. Yeah, an island in the middle of the Moose River, which then leads to Hudson Bay, which then would lead you to, I think, Nunavut. You know, this is what I was talking about. No, Nunavut is way further north. So you have to go across Hudson Bay, which is, if you think about it, look at the Great Lakes and the size of the Great Lakes here on this map, which are massive. And then you look at Hudson Bay. Look at that. I mean, that's intense. And then you get up here in Nunavut. That's where they're clubbing baby seals and shit. And then Greenland over here. Fucking A. All right. I'm going to leave that there. You've been a huge asset to this show. We don't often do shows like this where we just kind of like find shit out on the fly. The people are Cree. The regional tribe is Moose Cree. They call it Moosu. Chris says, who does everyone root for their sports teams? Piano Finger Banger says, this is why Trump wants to take over Canada. I'm kind of getting on board. No, Trump wants to get in there and cut all the goddamn trees down and access the oil. The Canadians aren't interested in it. They'd rather leave their trees there. The reason why the Canadians don't rip down their own trees and get their own oil like that, which, by the way, they would become the number one world power. If Canada wanted to, they could rip down all the trees and then murder all of the Cree, take all of the oil, and then they would be like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and all that shit. And United Arab Emirates. It'd be United Canadian Emirates. Every Canadian would be worth $1 billion if they did that. But these are salt of the earth people. They don't behave like that. All right? They're not greedy, money-hungry fucks like us asshole Americans are. And they're not willing to go and murder all the Cree. Trump wants to go in and murder Kevin and his squaw. That's what he wants to do, and they're not going to let that happen. The kids here learn Moose Cree as a second language. Only area on Earth still speaking it. Moose Factory is literally because their ancient language coined the English word moose. Nick says, is Hudson Bay ever warm enough to swim? Well, I would guess that Cree are more hardy than us. Jays and Leafs, Canadians too. Chris is doing his own research. He's learned that there's an Ace Hardware there. Are there sports there? Do the high school teams have anyone to play? There are local sports, recreational, but no traveling teams. 2 high schools just play each other over and over. Yeah, I'm guessing that they don't have actual, like, football, baseball, basketball. It's all like seal clubbing and tomahawk throwing and shit like that. Moose polo, says Megan. We could do a whole segment on Ask a Cree. How's the fishing up there? Or do you hunt deer, moose, elk? Curling? Megan says, I think we are already doing Ask a Cree. Everybody fishes and hunts. Fishing is great. Folks, I could do this all day. I want you to think about coming up with an asshole of the day today. Reminder, no racing at Berlin this weekend, but they will be back at it coming up next weekend. Get your tickets at berlinraceway.com. $14 when you buy online up until race day. berlinraceway.com, 15 and under free, parking free. And you can bring in your own cooler with all your snacks and soft drinks. Just no glass and no booze. I get my haircut at King's Room Barbershop, and you should too. 3 locations. Northland Drive, Caledonia, and at 821 36th Street in beautiful Wyoming. Kingsroom.net for King's Room Barbershop. Go to their website and get the exact locations, hours, and schedules. Haircuts are $21. I've got a tree service in West Michigan. If you have a down tree, or maybe you want to get rid of a tree and grind the stump, perhaps you need some advice on what's up with the tree. Is it diseased? Is it damaged? Is it cracked? Is it going to come down? They have 3 certified arborists at Kuiper Tree Care. Kuiper, treecare.com. 616-828-8225. That's 616-828-8225. If you need a dumpster in West Michigan, you need to call Dumpaholics. DUMPAHAULICSCO.com, or just Google Dumpaholics. You can call them at 616-375-9962. And finally today, Frank Fuss from My Policy Shop Insurance. You know, losing your job can be a terrible thing. That's one of the first things you're going to think about. Oh, my God, I'm losing my benefits. I'm losing my insurance. if you lose your job. You can turn that around real quickly by getting a policy through healthcare.gov or Obamacare. How do I do that, Easy? I don't know how it works. Don't worry. Just reach out to Frank. Frank Fuss at mypolicyshop.com. You reach him by going to buyinsurancehere.com. Fill out that form, and Frank will get a hold of you. There's a spot there for you to indicate that you heard about him from me. Or if you want me to do a stone cold introduction between you and him, I will facilitate that. Just reach out to me, and I'll take care of it for you. Go to buyinsurancehere.com for all that information. Hey, thanks again there, Kevin, in Northern Ontario, for all the fun insight on shit that we just don't know. Nobody knows that shit. That is a very, very cool story. Sounds like you could do a reality show. White guy in Moose Factory. Honky in Moose Factory. Cracker in Moose Factory. Asshole of the day, Iran. Oh, they're so dead. Oh, my God. Thank you for being here on this show. I'll be back on Patreon a little later on. You guys are special individuals. I appreciate all the support that you give me. You're very kind. Please support the sponsors whenever you can. They help make the world go round for your old pal EZ. Have a good one, folks. Thank you, and bye-bye.